College football 25 is full of plays that are simply unstoppable, and knowing these plays gives you a huge advantage over the competition. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 7 most unstoppable plays in college football 25 so that you guys can add them to your scheme and dominate every opponent. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. So starting us off at number 7 is the play PA counter go in the formation gun trips tight end. This has been an extremely popular play in Madden for years now, but in college football, it's even better. There are lots of different setups we can do out of this, but this setup I'm going to show you guys is incredible at destroying zone coverage. So our adjustments are going to be to put our tight end on a streak, put our middle trips receiver on a flat route, put our outside trips receiver on an in route, and put our running back on a flat route. Now, in terms of the read progression, we are always going to look at our underneath routes first. And so in this case, our defense is just sitting in a cover 3 sky. And so after the snap, we're going to look at our running back in the flat. And if your opponent isn't guarding him, you're going to hit your running back with a pass lead up, and you're going to steal an easy 5 or 6 or 7 yards every single time. I think people don't realize how powerful it is to hit these running back flat routes if you have a pass lead up. The pass lead is important. The pass lead here is what gets us those extra yards. And so when you're throwing the ball, point your left stick straight up, get that pass lead up, and you've got some easy yards in the flat. Now, the next read we're going to look at is going to be our middle trips receiver on that flat route. And usually you won't be throwing this, but in the event that your opponent is in something like a cover 2 and they have their outside cornerback backed off, then there's definitely a chance where you can hit that flat route on the other side of the field with a pass lead up. In that case, we only got about 4 yards, but you always want to look at the flats just in case. And if your opponent is leaving the flats open, go ahead and take the free yards every single time. Now we can get to the really fun reads, which are going to be the in route and then the crosser. So our third read is going to be the in route from our outside trips receiver. And because of the spacing of all these routes, we've got routes pulling these zone defenders apart. The middle trips receiver on the flat route is going to pull zone defenders outside. The crosser from our inside trips receiver is pulling defenders inside. And what happens is that we get a really nice pocket of open space to hit our in route. And right there, he kind of bumped into one of the defenders, but it didn't matter. He was still wide open. And so that's going to be the read progression, is flat route to the running back, flat route to the middle trips receiver. And if both of those are covered, we've got the in route over the middle. And right there was a perfect example, guys, of what I was just talking about, where our other routes on the field are pulling the defenders apart. If you watch the crosser right here, he is going to pull this linebacker with him. This linebacker is being pulled to the right to guard the crosser. That is why this in route is so open. The other linebacker, if he was not being manipulated by the crosser, he would be over the middle here to possibly guard this in route. But instead, the crosser pulled him way to the right, and we have all the space in the world to hit this in route. And so that's the power of having a good zone beating concept, is when you can space the defenders out, when you can pull the defenders apart and put them in conflict, then you always have somebody open. Now, the final read on this play is, of course, going to be the crosser. And so we still have the defense here in cover 3 sky. If we go ahead and snap this ball, we can see that even if we were to pretend that that linebacker stayed down to guard the in route, doesn't matter either way. The crosser is still open along the sidelines. Now, the important thing here is the pass lead down and outside. It doesn't really matter that much in this case because we have so much space, but it's generally good practice whenever you're throwing to a route along the sidelines is to always pass lead them down and outside, because what we've got here is we've got a defender, an outside cornerback, and an outside third. And if we don't pass lead that ball correctly, there's a chance that he can turn around and make a play on the ball. So to keep it away from him as much as possible, we're just going to pass lead that ball down or pass lead that ball down and outside. And so that is the play, PA counter go. If your opponent is in any zone coverage, you're going to have someone open as long as you follow the read progression. Now, coming in at number 6, we have the play power option and the formation pistol train. Now, power options and speed options are super powerful and super fun in college football 25, but none of them are better than this version of power option and the pistol train formation. So if you want to, you can run this completely stock, completely normal, and it's still an okay play. Just like on any speed option and power option, you do have to read the pitch key defender and then press LB or L1 to pitch the ball out to your running back. So far, so good. But if you want to make this play even better, then most of the time, I recommend flipping the play with your right stick. And so in this case, I'm just going to flick my right stick to the right, And this time, we've got a ton of extra blockers on the side of the option. Of course, you always want to look at what alignment the defense is in. So if the defense is way stacked on the right side in this case, then you wouldn't want to run it to the right. But 9 times out of 10, flipping the play is going to get you a numbers advantage where you have more blockers than there are defenders on that side. And so in this case, if we go ahead and just run this, we're going to have to go ahead and pitch it before that pitch key gets too close to us. We are getting a ton of yards. Now, one thing I should note is that I am using a power pitch on these pitches. There's really 2 types of pitches in the game. You can tap LB or L1 to do a normal pitch, or you can press and hold LB or L1 to do a power pitch. And in my opinion, the power pitches are much better. Because what happens on the power pitches is that sometimes the pitch key kind of glitches out, is the best way I can describe it, to where even in situations where it looks like the pitch key is going to guard the running back, if you power pitch, then that pitch key will actually pull in for just a moment and it'll leave the running back open on the outside. And so right here, I wanted to pitch it for the video. Of course, if the pitch key never shows up, you should just keep running with your quarterback, of course. So like that was actually another example where I could have just kept running with my quarterback if I really wanted to. You do have to be careful, guys, keeping it with your quarterback because quarterbacks are going to be extra prone to fumbling. And right there, we just got a super weird animation. Obviously, on option plays, there's always just a little bit of like unpredictability. But this right here, guys, is the example I was looking for, where the pitch key sucked in because of the power pitch. And so this is as good of an example as I can possibly get you. So we are optioning right here, and the pitch key is sliding outside with the running back. Usually in this case, you would keep with the quarterback. And so if I cut it back inside, there is actually some running room to cut back inside behind number 8 and behind number 65 with my quarterback and potentially get a big gain. Like I said a second ago, quarterbacks are very prone to fumbling. So for me personally, I avoid keeping it with the quarterback as much as possible. So on these speed options and on these power options, I'm pretty much always pitching the ball. But because of what I was talking about before, when you power pitch, even with that pitch key sliding outside, the moment you power pitch, look what happens to the pitch key. He kind of stops. He kind of cuts back inside for just a second. It's a quick little hesitation back inside, and then he tries to keep running outside, but that hesitation made all the difference, and now we have a ton of room to work with on the outside. So as long as you power pitch on these, you can pitch it pretty much every time. And so when you combine the power of the power pitch with the insane blocking advantage we have over here, this play, power option, and the formation pistol train is going to get you huge explosive gains on the outside. So if you're like me and you love running option plays, then power option and the formation pistol train is definitely one that you should check out. Now, coming in at number 5 on our list of unstoppable plays is the play whips and the formation gun bunch tight end. Now, there's a ton of different route combos that you can do on this play, but I'm going to show you guys my absolute favorite. The adjustments are going to be to put our running back on a flat route, even though he already starts on a flat route. We'll talk about why in a second. Put our outside bunch receiver also on a flat route, and put our middle bunch receiver on a post. This is my favorite short yardage play in the entire game because it's so incredibly difficult for your opponent to stop. Now, the reason that we put our running back on the flat route is for a very similar reason that we talked about in our very first play that we looked at in PA Counter Go, is that these hot routed running back flat routes can be really, really good with a pass lead up. And so that's going to be our first read, is reading both of the flats. If we go ahead and snap the ball, if our opponent is not guarding the flat, we can pass lead the ball up and we have an easy 5 or 6 yards. You can't do that, however, on this stock flat route from the running back that comes on the play. If you try to do the exact same thing, look how much further back your running back is. You can pass lead him up, and right there, I mean, I guess I could have thrown it a little bit earlier, but you can see that he's just not going to be running up. He's not going to be getting depth on his route. And so you can dump down to him. You can try to make a guy miss, but we're taking negative yards on that flat route. And so even though the flat routes look similar, it's like, oh, it's a flat route in either case. There's a huge difference between that stock flat route and that hot routed running back flat route. So the running back on the flat route is going to be our first read. The other flat route is going to be our second read, but we don't just need to keep running flat routes all day. Let's focus on the really fun stuff on this play, which is the 2 zigs and the post. So right here, I have the defense in a cover 3 sky, and we'll look at some other coverages in just a second. But if your opponent is in basically any type of zone coverage, then almost always these zig routes are both going to be wide open. And what often happens is if your opponent is usering over the middle of the field, they will have to choose one or the other. And so whichever one they don't guard, just go ahead and throw to that one, let them guard one, and you throw the other one. Now, these zig routes aren't just great against zone coverage, but they're also great against man coverage as well. So if I go ahead and put the defense in cover 1, we will get to see just how powerful these zigs are against man coverage. And zigs are arguably the best man-beating route in the entire game. If we go ahead and snap this ball, in this case, we're gonna see our tight end absolutely cook his defender. We got a ton of yards on the outside. We'll go ahead and look at the other zig as well. And so once again, let's put the defense into cover 1, get our route combo set up on the field and run it once again. And we can see that once again, the other zig is wide open and we are taking off and we are all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. And so if your opponent runs zone coverage, they're going to have trouble guarding this. If your opponent runs man coverage, they're going to have trouble guarding this. Really, their best bet is to go into something like a cover 2 shaded down and have 3 people over the middle in like 5-yard hooks. And so actually, let me go into coaching adjustments real quick. We'll go ahead and put these defenders on 5-yard hooks. And what you'll be able to see is that if they put 3 guys across the middle in 5-yard hooks, then they actually will be able to guard both the flat routes and both of the zigs. And you may be saying, okay, well, seems like your play is toast in that case. Well, the zigs and flat routes will be covered, but we do have one more route on the play, which is the post route. And so when your opponent does something like this, when they're going to go all out in guarding our flat routes and our zig routes, that is where the middle of the field is going to be wide open and you can go ahead and hit your post. And we can go ahead and look at the replay right here. So we have 3 linebackers all in 5-yard hooks who are all going to be guarding the zigs. And the really funny thing is that it actually looks like even with them in 5-yard hooks, this zig might have been coming open anyway. And so we still could have possibly thrown to that zig because it looks like that 5-yard hook really pulled outside on the flat route. But even if we pretend that this zig route was not going to come open, you can see that if the middle linebacker in this cover 2 is going to commit to staying down low to guard the zigs, then we just throw to the post route over the middle. We're essentially just building a high-low and putting that middle linebacker in conflict. And so I definitely pass lead the ball down, and the pass lead down is important to make sure you keep the ball away from the safeties. But as long as you pass lead that ball down, then you are going to have no problem hitting that post route over the middle. And just for the sake of experiment, we're going to go ahead and keep these guys in the 5-yard hooks. And we're going to see if we can actually even hit this inside zig route despite the 5-yard hooks. And right there, not quite. So the window is pretty tight. That's okay. So ultimately, like we saw a second ago, if your opponent is running shaded down cover 2 with 5-yard hook zones, then you're just going to want to read the high-low. And most of the time, you're just going to hit the post over the middle with a pass lead down. And you've got an easy completion to your post route. And so that is the play whips. It's extremely powerful in short yardage situations. It destroys zone coverage. It destroys man coverage. And as long as you run it properly and go through your read progressions, then you should have someone open on every play. Now, coming in at number 4 on our list of overpowered plays is end around lead in the formation single back bunch ace. This is one of my favorite under center run plays in the entire game because it has such crazy high upside against any defense. There's really not a whole lot you have to do. You just press hike, it's a fake handoff to your running back, and then your receiver takes it on the end around, and you just have to try and make defenders miss on the outside. And that right there is probably the worst case scenario, which was still like a 7-yard gain. Now, one thing you do have to be aware of is that there is a defender labeled as the read key on this play. And even though he's labeled as a read key, you're not making any reads. This is not like a read option where you have to actually decide whether to hand off or keep it. There is no read. Every time you run this play, it'll be a fake handoff to the running back and then a handoff to the receiver on the end around. And so let's talk about what we can learn from the fact that there's a read key. Well, in the game, any defender who is coded as a read key will not be blocked. And so when you're imagining the blocking assignments on this play, you basically have to ignore the read key defender. The read key defender will be left unblocked, which means in this case, our left tackle will be kicking up to pick up a linebacker. Our pulling tight end will ignore him and go block someone in the secondary. And that really is the key to how we can get such crazy gains on this play, is him getting left unblocked. And now if we just follow our blocks, of course, then you can see that we're going to get a ton of yards on the outside. But let's go back and watch this again. The whole key to this play working so well is because this guy basically takes himself out of the play. Our players just ignore him. They just let him go right by. The left tackle lets him go by. Pulling tight end lets him go by. He got caught up for a second, and he cannot make a play on us. And now we have a numbers advantage because every single one of our players has someone that we can block. And so then it's just off to the races on the outside. And so single back, bunch ace, end around lead, one of the best run plays in the game. Of course, it's not going to get you guaranteed yards every single time, but for me, this has been an absolute home run hitter. More often than not, we are taking this around the edge. We are getting a lot of yards with it. And like I said, in this case, it seems like the floor is 7 or 8 yards. And we'll go ahead and get one more rep in for you guys. Once again, take it around the edge, and there is just almost nobody in front of us. We are getting just crazy, crazy gains on this play. And so that is end around lead and single back bunch ace, perhaps the best under center run play in the entire game. Now, coming in at number 3 on our list of overpowered plays is posts in the formation gun ace slot offset. This is an incredibly powerful play, and you don't need to make any adjustments to beat every coverage in the game. And you can probably see why just from looking at it. On the left side of the field, we naturally have a flood concept with our post, corner, and flat route. We've got a backside Texas route coming from the running back, and we have an awesome man-beating tight end corner route on the field as well. And so if we go ahead and run through some different coverages for the defense, we can start them off in just a normal cover 3 sky. And as you can expect, on the far side of the field, we are going to have our corner route wide open on the outside. Now, one minor note that you should know about is that for this pass lead, I'm actually pass leading this up and outside because it's a pretty shallow corner route. And so while on deeper corner routes, we're going to pass lead it down and outside. In this case, we're going to pass lead it up and outside and just let our receiver continue running in the direction of his cut. And that's going to allow us to catch it over top of any flat defenders playing underneath, while still giving us plenty of space to catch it away from any safeties or outside cornerbacks playing over the top. Now, the next thing you should know is that on this play, let's say your opponent mans up or users or Mabels the trip side to take away the corner route. Well, you also have the backside Texas route, which is going to get wide open over the middle against pretty much every zone coverage in the game. Now, the one zone coverage that can probably do a pretty good job of taking away that Texas route is going to be something like a shaded down cover 2. So now there's a lot of guys playing over the middle. Well, first off, once again, our corner route is going to be wide open on the outside against cover 2. Not only that, but we've also got the other corner route on the tight end corner route, which is going to be wide open against a shaded down cover 2. And the pass lead is a little tougher on this one, so you do have to pass lead that down and outside to keep it away from that deep half safety who will kind of cheat down a little bit. But if nothing else, if your opponent sits in cover 2, well, they're also cooked because you have this post route attacking the deep middle if you have time to throw. Our O-line almost let a defender come through, but fortunately we had time, and you're also hitting them over the deep middle with that deep post. So if your opponent is in cover 2, they are just cooked on every part of the field. And if we want to run through some other coverages, we can go to cover 4 and shade down, which is going to put the defense in a true cover 4 drop. And so when that's the case, then our flood concept on the left side is going to be exactly the same as it was against cover 3. You just have to let the post pull the defender deep and let the flat route pull the flat defender down. And you've got the corner route wide open on the sideline. And if we go cover 4 quarters and don't shade down, and so in this case, there's going to be match coverage. Well, what happens on this route combo is that if you wait long enough, the post is actually going to pull 2 defenders with him, and it's going to leave the corner route completely unguarded. And then you can just do a pass lead up, and the corner route's open. He didn't choose to catch it, but as you saw, it was wide open. Now, if we talk about man coverage, if we go ahead and put the defense into something like a cover 1 robber, then we're going to see how great these routes are against man coverage as well. And so we can start off by looking at our corner route on the left side, and that receiver is going to get a ton of separation. And as long as you pass lead that ball outside, it is a super easy throw. If we go back to cover 1 once again, we can look at our tight end corner route this time, and he is going to get amazing separation more often than not. We just have to pass lead the ball again away from the defender, and it's an easy completion along the sidelines. But not only that, this running back Texas route also cooks man coverage. Now, in the case of a cover 1, this 3-rec's actually going to do a pretty good job against the Texas route. And so we'll get him out of the way so we can just look at how the Texas route does against man coverage. You can see that just in one-on-one man coverage, we're going to get crazy separation and absolutely cook the man coverage. And so the play post is incredible, completely stock, no adjustments. You can just roll up to the line and snap the ball right away, and you've got someone getting open against any coverage that the defense throws at you. Now, coming in at number 2 on our list of unstoppable plays, we have Salem Pivot in the formation gun stack Y flex. And just like a lot of the plays that we've looked at, this play is amazing against both man and zone coverage. We're going to do only 2 adjustments to get the absolute most out of this play. So our adjustments are going to be to put our running back on a flat route. We're going to custom stem our right outside receiver on the deep dig route by 1 click on the D-pad. So the way we custom stem is we're going to press wire triangle, then we're going to select the icon of our receiver. In this case, it's the B icon. Then we're going to hold LB or L1, and then I'm going to press 1 click up on the D-pad, and it's glitching out for us. But if I reset the play art, you can see that he is now running his route 5 yards further down the field. And so this is going to be our setup. Now, the first read after the snap, just like we've seen on a lot of other plays we've looked at so far, it's going to be the running back in the flat. And as long as you pass lead that ball up, you can easily get 6 or 7 or 8 yards on the outside if your opponent doesn't have a defender guarding the hard flat. And right there, oh, now the play art's not glitching out. This is what it looks like when you successfully custom stem. You're going to take that in route from here 5 yards deeper to where, in this case, now he's breaking on around the 10-yard line. Now, our second read is going to be our tight end on the zig. And what we're building on this right side is very similar to what we saw in the play whips. We have a flat route to kind of pull zone defenders outside. And what that is going to allow us to have is a window to hit our tight end on the zig after he makes his cut. Not just that, the tight end on the zig is also going to absolutely cook man coverage as well. And so if we go ahead and put the defense in some man coverage real quick, what you're going to see is that after he makes his break, he is going to get a ton of separation, passing that ball outside. You've got a ton of yards down the sideline. And in this case, we're even into the end zone. Now, the third read on this play is going to be the return route from our front stack receiver on the left side. And so if we go ahead and make all these adjustments again, what we're going to see is that against zone coverage, our C route, so the receiver at the back of the stack on the left side, that C route is actually going to pull this left linebacker in the hook curl, is going to pull him deep, and the return route is going to be wide open underneath for some easy yards over the middle. And what's so great about that C route is that even if your opponent shades down, and so this time I'm going to shade the coverage down in the cover 3, that hook curl is still going to get pulled deep by that C route, despite them shading down. So if we go ahead and run this again, you're going to see that that hook curl is still playing over the top, and we still have a window to hit our return route. And as you guys probably know, these return routes are also incredible against man coverage as well. And so if we go ahead and set this up once again, and this time the defense is in a cover 1, we can see that after he makes his cut inside, he is going to absolutely cook the man coverage, and we have an easy completion. And so you can see we're destroying man coverage, we're destroying zone coverage, and we're not done yet. The final read on the play is going to be this deep dig route, who we're custom stemming up by 1 click. And the reason that we're custom stemming him up by 1 click is that we want to make sure we have enough space between him crossing over the middle from right to left and our return route crossing over the middle from left to right. If we have those routes crossing too close together, then it makes it really easy for a defender to kind of stand in the middle of the field and end up guarding both routes, which is why we want them to be a little bit more spaced out. And I will say that in the case that you throw to the deep dig, you definitely want to throw it a little bit early if possible, because remember, we do have that hook curl defender who's getting pulled back by our C route. And so if you wait too long to throw to the deep dig, then what's going to happen is you're going to have the C route pull that hook curl defender straight into the late window to throw to the deep in route, the deep dig route. And so if we go ahead and run this, you can see that ideally the window to throw it is kind of early, and you're going to just pass lead that ball down to keep it away from the deep safety. But this dig route is not just great against zone coverage, it's also great against man coverage as well. And so if one more time we go to our cover 1, what we're going to see is that if our O-line holds up and gives us some time to throw, we're going to get great separation. Oh, and the O-line didn't hold up for us, but you guys probably saw the separation that we were about to get. So let me go ahead and run this one more time, and we'll just QB spy out these defensive tackles so that we can have enough time to actually watch this route develop. Go ahead and run this one more time. You're going to see that the dig route gets awesome separation against man, just passing that ball to the outside, and you've got an amazing gain. In this case, we go for a touchdown. And so Salem Pivot, we've got man beaters and zone beaters all over the field, and this is one of my favorite plays in the game out of the gun stack Y flex formation. And finally, at number 1 on our list of unstoppable plays, we have PA Snag in the formation gun normal Y off close. This has been an incredibly powerful play in both Madden and college football all year. I want to show you guys the best way to run it. Now, I always recommend that you run this being on a hash with your slot receiver lined up on the wide side of the field. And so if we were on the left hash, then we would have this play flipped so our slot receiver would be on the right side. Now, the adjustments before the snap are going to be to put your solo receiver, in this case, our receiver on the right side, on a streak. We're going to put our tight end on a drag. We're going to put our running back on a flat route. Now, there are a ton of awesome ways to run this play, but this is just what I think is the single best setup you can do out of this play. And as you're going to see, it's all based around these 2 post routes on the left side. In the case of the slot receiver, some would call it a slant. I'm going to call it a really shallow post. But that's beside the point. So starting off with our first read, just like we've seen in a lot of these setups, we're going to have the running back in the flat. And if your opponent is leaving it open, then you're just going to hit him with a pass lead up and steal those free 5 yards every single time. The next read is going to be the tight end on the drag. And if your opponent isn't shading their coverage down, then you should be able to hit the drag for easy yards over the middle. And if your opponent is in man coverage, as hopefully everyone knows, drags are awesome man-beating routes as well. And so when you snap the ball and your tight end crosses the field, he should have a step on the linebacker who will be guarding him and just hit him with a pass lead outside, and you've got a ton of yards down the opposite sideline. Now, the third read is going to be our slot receiver on the very shallow post, or you may call it a deep slant. And what we're really doing here is this is kind of like our first high-low. We really have 2 high-lows on this play. The first high-low is between the drag and the very shallow post, and the second high-low is between the first shallow post and then the deeper shallow post. And so right here, if our opponent is shading their coverage down and say something like cover 3, then there is a chance that our slot receiver on the shallow post will get open over the top. And we may have to wait. We may have to hit him in the late window as he crosses over towards the sidelines. Wherever that window is, we're going to hit it. And so right here, you can see that because they shaded down and they were all over the flat route and the drag, it left that super shallow post open for us to hit it along the sidelines. And as you can see, this is it's just simple spacing. It's just a high-low. If they want to stay low on the drag, we will throw high to the shallow post right here. And not just that, this route is great at beating man coverage as well. And so if we go ahead and get this set up once again, we already have the tight end drag route beating man coverage going from right to left. But now we have this route beating man coverage going from left to right. And we got helped out a little bit by the fact that the defender ran into the 3-rec. But even without that, we were still getting separation, and he was still going to get open either way. We can see that right here. He made his cut, and we were going to have a step on him regardless. We were absolutely going to have plenty of space to make that throw, but then that bump just opened up things even more. Now, the final read on this play is going to be our outside receiver on the deeper shallow post, as I'll call it. And I really prefer to hit this route late in the play. And so as he crosses the field, you can see that he's going to end up getting wide open for the touchdown. You can, of course, make an early window throw depending on the coverage, but for the most part, I prefer to not really test the linebackers over the middle. And so I prefer to have a late window throw if I'm throwing to that post. And so that was against cover 3. Here we can see it against cover 2. And in a similar sense, the late window throw will definitely be wide open if our O-line holds up for us. And right there, once again, there's the late window throw. And this is also a really great route against man coverage as well. We got 3 different amazing man-beating routes on this play. And so if we go ahead and put the defense in cover 1, we can see that once again, just like our other man-beating routes, this is going to get a ton of separation and get wide open for an easy touchdown. And so PA Snag is extremely powerful. It's one of just a ton of extremely powerful setups in gun normal Y off close. But this play in particular, because of the two unique shallow post routes we have from our slot receiver and our outside receiver, make it, in my opinion, the most unstoppable play in college football 25. And so those are the 7 most unstoppable plays in college football 25. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that we know you want to see more content just like this. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.